Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambeau channel. XRPC's longest Bollinger Band squeeze in history, hinting at possible price explosion. Now, look, so that's a headline from the Crypto Basic. We've been talking about this, well, certainly on this channel, but broadly in the XRP community. All sorts of chart analysts tracking XRP consistently talking about this. And let me just say this at the outset of the video. Like, do not be fooled by any dips, especially pre-election dips. We gonna fly. Like, we are not going to be moving sideways here forever. We're not in a bear market. And so I want to talk about a few potential outcomes because, and I understand probably close to half of the people that listen to my channel don't live in the United States. So you may like kind of think this is ridiculous or roll your eyes like when we're talking about the United States and what an ethnocentric point of view. I understand how you could feel that way, but here's the truth of the matter. You know, the economy in the United States, we're talking about the largest capital market in the world. And so, yes, what happens here is going to have global ramifications. It matters to all of you, even if you don't live in the United States. And there's no sufficient, or no shortage, rather, of data to prove that. The correlation is so strong, I don't know how you could deny that there's a causation here. So I do want to talk about that. But the good news is, once this is over, like, the market straightens things out in short order here. And with XRP being positioned the way it is, my God, XRP has never been so well positioned since it hit its all-time high. It has never, and we're in an actual bull market now. So this is not the time to be shaken out, in my humble opinion. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so price action been a little bumpy over the last 24 hours. Here, take a look at Bitcoin first. We're back above $69,000. Got as low as $67,709, though. Here's the XRP chart, 24-hour chart. At 50.4 cents, but we got as low as 49.4 cents. And as I flip back and forth between the 24-hour charts for Bitcoin and XRP here on Live Coin Watch, you can see that they are the same damn chart, which is fantastic. That means that XRP is not a dead coin. Whatever the toxic Bitcoin maxis would have you believe is just a lie. It's a fantasy that they wish were true, but speculators on a global scale are treating it the same because this is what you would expect from any coin that's not dead, is it broadly speaking to move in tandem with the rest of the market. And oh my God, XRP does. This is exactly what you want to see. And then what happens for healthy coins like that move in tandem with the market, eventually they have their own independent breaks. So then on a day, maybe it will be a Tuesday. Who the hell knows? It'll just start rocking. You'll just wake up and you'll do a double take, a triple take, and you'll be like, oh wow, that really is XRP above $1. And then it just takes off. And there have been no shortage of these instances. It's just that's not most of what it is to be an XRP holder or holder of crypto in general. Most of it is kind of sideways action, some downward action, some slow upward action. And then the most fun days, and I appreciate them when we have them, they are few and far between. But they do come. And so either you have exposure to an asset when it has those most exciting, impressive days that lead to life-changing wealth, or you don't, which is why all I do is I buy stuff and then I do nothing. It's a pretty simple investment strategy, but it freaking works. Unfortunately for me, since that's all it is, I don't have a course to sell you. Damn it. Sucks for me. But here's the Crypto Fear and Greed Index at 74 out of 100. So market participants still feeling greedy. Not surprising, We'll see if it goes down a little bit once it updates, because it only updates once every 24 hours, and we did have a little bit of scare here, but this is not a big deal. So here's a post from chart analyst Dr. Magic, and he said, about ugly weekly candle. Didn't want to post, actually make this chart full screen too. Says, didn't want to post this, it's a Bitcoin USD chart, because I don't think that cycle-wise we are over there. In my view, we are much, much further, but from price action perspective, we have been there. New all-time highs missed by a hair and an ugly candle before, and it was a nothing burger. Like I said in my quoted post, next week is traditionally the worst. Wouldn't be surprised if we get some volatility to the downside. We have the election mess to get over with too. New all-time highs in the remaining of November, though. Yeah, and so that seems to be fair and makes sense, especially from a historic precedent. You know, the market needs to know what the hell is happening here, and then it responds accordingly. There's data to indicate that. In fact, so like election years can be good. Obviously, this year's not been bad, broadly speaking, for the stock market and for crypto. Historically, by the way, for the S&P 500, it's not that the election years are historically disastrous, but they actually underperform compared to other years. But the interesting thing is, so that's obviously this would be an outlier then, good for us. But the cool thing is, even after that, even though that's true on the whole, like for the entirety of the calendar year, after the election is when you start to see the moves up. So it can be in Q4 and the beginning part of the following year also. And so, and the cool thing is, crypto correlates. So just another reason, just based on historic precedent, to be optimistic. Here's this post from Charting Guy. It says Bitcoin broke the $68,500, $69,000 support zone, now finally reaching my $67,649 target of the 786, exactly like Nvidia fractal foretold. Hidden bullish divergence still holding as long as we stay above 65.5. Remember, this is just the pre-election shakeout and an accumulation opportunity. Yeah, so I certainly suspect that is the case based not on charting, because I'm not a chart guy and I don't want to be, it bores me to tears, and it wouldn't change my investment strategy, so it would be a waste of my time, but based on historic precedent, which I think matters. And so for a long-term investor like me, it's just like, yeah, I'll track the short-term stuff just because I'm interested, but it's not actually going to change what I personally do. I do think it can help people, though, being aware of this stuff so that if negative stuff happens, maybe you're not going to freak out so much if you're more informed. So it still is useful for humans, though. And so the reason that he's saying that Bitcoin here, tracking like the Nvidia fractal, that's because Nvidia it's kind of used like it's kind of used as like a proxy for what's happening with tech, and Bitcoin and crypto is part of tech, so it gets treated very similarly directionally. So I certainly understand why he's tracking it. In fact, if you look at the NASDAQ 100, that tracks very closely to what's happening in crypto and even Bitcoin specifically, certainly here. And so these levels that he's talking about, I actually shared in a previous video. He was warning, hey, could get down about here. He doesn't really think that it's likely at all that we're going to be going below $65,000. We'll see if he's right. But either way, I do buy into the concept that it's just pre-election scares, basically. Here we had this post from chart analyst Mustache, hashtag altcoins, and he's showing the total 2 chart, which is the crypto total market cap excluding Bitcoin. So every coin out there except for Bitcoin. And he says, total 2 chart, bullish. U.S. elections very soon. It's getting excited. And so one thing I do consistently see from all of the analysts that I follow, they certainly acknowledge the impact of elections and the importance to get through them, because once that happens, that substantially increases the odds that we're at a point where we will see something break, even if it's not literally the next day. In fact, it's worth mentioning here. So I read all sorts of stuff, and I came across, it's just the Ameriprise website, but they were talking about the impact of the Gore-Bush debacle. Some of you may recall, or maybe some of you are too young, but during that election, which George Bush ultimately did win, it was contested, and so we actually didn't know, like the next day, who would be the next president. And so, without going through all the specifics, that's not the point of this video. I just wanted to note, and this is a key takeaway. Stocks fell, and what did people do? Well, they sought the safety of bonds and gold, as highlighted in this article. And of course, now once once it was clear it was happening, we did resume the trend. Did eventually resume the trend to the upside. Of course, that was a very different time, and that whole era. I mean, those years with the .com boom and bust. I'm not saying it's exactly the same, but just pointing at, if you're looking at the short term, what might happen? Well, this is how humans behaved in the very, very short term. So even if stocks fell, and even if crypto fell, if there was a contested election, which is possible, it could be super close here. I just say, okay, not exactly necessarily going to be in the end of the world. That can work itself out still. There's this post from chart analyst Greg Crypto, XRP, bearish or bullish? And so he's got this trend line drawn here, and he says, take a look at the chart below and let me know. Is this setup giving you bearish outlook, or are we in a strong bullish trend? Well, you don't have to be a chart guy to have a reasonable suspicion about this, especially if you get perspectives from a ton of different chart analysts and you just believe whatever is most compelling based on a lot of data, I would say yes, probably good thing. This bad boy, my God, XRP there's no other chart like this in crypto, by the way, and there can't be because not that there literally can't be, but there aren't that many coins that are as old as XRP, and so what I was going to say is this is the only chart in crypto that's like this. And it's a big part of it because it's been consolidating for almost 7 years. Show me another coin that's been coiling up and hasn't had a new all-time high, a true breakout in 7 freaking years. And I blame primarily the SEC, and I think it's fair to say, hey, maybe just the fact that it literally increased in price a couple market cycles ago by 80,000%. Maybe it did need a little more time to coil up, maybe even sit out an extra cycle. If you want to argue that, then I'd be like, okay, maybe that was a factor. I still primarily blame the SEC. But we're past that now. We're clearly past that. So yes, I do think that's optimistic. It can't stay coiling up here forever. We're very close to the apex of what many analysts draw as a symmetrical triangle, and that's not what he's what he's pointing at here. But still, even if you look at the trend line, and so somebody named X Value responded to him and said, all fundamentals indicate a bullish trend. The bigger question is if XRP will also miss this bull cycle like the last one, or we rise like all others. Let's discuss. Hey, fair enough thing to ask here. Now, pretty clear what I think. No, XRP does not sit this one out. The only way, in my estimation, and fine, I could be wrong. We're all allowed to have our opinions. This is my opinion. I do not believe that XRP sits this one out. So as long as we do have a proper alt season, the idea of XRP not at least, hitting a new all-time high and entering price discovery and blasting up to some degree, that's absurd to me. Unless there's some sort of black swan event, or we're wrong and we're actually in a bear market and we're all stupid and idiot sticks and we just don't realize it yet, then I'd say, okay, I wouldn't expect XRP to do it on its own, but if everything goes, it makes no sense, given that XRP does have legal clarity and it keeps getting adopted. Every good thing under the sun, even the things that historically, from a charting perspective, have indicated, hey, this thing's about to blow, it's got all those too. So to think that XRP is not going to go does not compute to me. I only see that crap almost exclusively from people that have a multi-year track record of irrationally hating on XRP. Everybody else is like, whoa. In fact, a lot of the unbiased analysts out there who maybe in recent years haven't really been interested in XRP, haven't been tracking it, they don't hate it, but they're like, well, it's from a trading perspective, maybe and fair enough. The ones that finally take a fresh look at XRP, so many of them keep coming to the conclusion of, whoa, this is insane. They look at the various metrics that we've been talking about for this entire year, and they're like, this thing is teed up. That's what I consistently see from unbiased chart analysts. But anyway, eGreat Crypto responded to that, and he said, liquidity on the rise. Bitcoin is heating up, and liquidity is flowing. What we need next is for Bitcoin to make a big move, then see its dominance drop. That's when the usual cycle kicks in, rotating liquidity through altcoins, and XRP could grab its 10x to 20x share. With XRP's major announcements ahead, we're looking at 2-digit potential in the cards. Yeah, I think that's perfectly reasonable, and he is correct there. And that's one of the reasons I started out this video saying one of the things that I said, which is that this is a coin that is alive. I showed you when I flip back and forth between the 24-hour charts for XRP and Bitcoin, which I frequently do, it's to point out and drive the point home consistently that this is not what happens with a dead coin, and especially not with this force. And if it were dead, it wouldn't be in the top 10 after all this time. It doesn't make sense. The market agrees with you. If you think XRP makes sense, the market on a global scale agrees with you and has believed that for over a decade, despite the SEC attacking, which is the worst thing that could have happened to pretty much any crypto, right? Outside of like a hack or something like that. So, given that is the case, when he says he's talking about liquidity rotating into XRP and then getting that 10x or 20x share, yes, that is what happens. Whatever the multiplier effect is, we'll see. I think that what he's citing there is plausible. I don't make price predictions myself, but that's certainly plausible. And so to think that XRP is not going to get it, it's completely absurd in my mind. Then we have this. XRP sees longest Bollinger Band squeeze in history, hinting at possible price explosion. Now, folks, this is one of the metrics that we've been tracking for a long time. And it is one of the metrics that, if you just look at previous market cycles, when we've seen something similar to this, XRP blows, and in this case, this is the most wound up it's ever been. That's a good thing, unless you think that the break, when it finally breaks, is going to be to the downside, but then you must think that we're in a bear market. That's the only reason you could possibly rationally think that, in my estimation. So anyway, piece reads as follows. XRP may be laying the groundwork for a massive price explosion due to a historical squeeze in its Bollinger Bands. This indicator, which measures price volatility, has shown major patterns in the past that have often led to notable price explosions. Interestingly, the current data suggests that XRP might be on the verge of another big movement. For context, in 2016, XRP began a period of Bollinger Bands compression that lasted from August 2016 to February 2017. During this time, XRP was in a consolidation phase, holding within a relatively stable range. Once this squeeze period concluded, XRP's price skyrocketed, marking one of the most impressive price surges in its history. In the months following the squeeze, XRP's value rose dramatically from 0.005 cents to an all-time high of $3.31 by January 2018, and this marked an increase of nearly 60,000% within a year. After this massive price rise, XRP began to retrace, and by May 2020, another Bollinger Band squeeze was underway. This squeeze persisted until October 2020, when XRP saw renewed upward momentum. So there you go, folks. That's the two previous cycles. And it's just nice to see increasingly that this is understood and accepted. And the only people that pretend like this is a big nothing burger, as they say, are the toxic Bitcoin maximalists out there and the irrational XRP haters. And they'll tell you that this would be good for it. Like if you showed them this chart and they didn't know what the XRP chart looked like, and there's just no labels on it, you'd be like, what do you think this means? Well, I'd hazard a guess that they'd say, oh, wow, that's really wound up. That's probably very good. But then when they see XRP attached to it, it's just... They're just like cringe, like it's a weird demonic response because they have XRP derangement syndrome here. So it's like charting works for every coin except for XRP because reasons. Oh, okay, guys. Well, that's worthless. Thanks for absolutely nothing. But here we are in this instance yet again. And this is the tightest we've ever seen Bollinger Bands in history. Of course that matters. Of course it does. And so we're living through this period, and it may feel painful and like it's never going to end to some of you, but let me assure you, I've been through many moments like this. It does eventually end. And when it goes, and you don't know exactly when it's going to be. Like I said earlier, probably a Tuesday, just because. And it's very funny. You'll do a double take and a triple take, and when you're looking at your portfolio, yep, that's what happens here. So we're now exactly in another one of those moments here. I cannot relate to the people that just don't think it makes sense for XRP to go. I think that all those people are going to be deleting a whole lot of posts on social media after this bull runs over. That's what I'm expecting, because the best is yet ahead. So yes, in my estimation, does not make sense to be fooled by any of these dips or be freaking out on a day-to-day basis. Either we're right about crypto, you could even talk about broadly about crypto. Either we're right about crypto and it's going to be a way bigger crypto pie, or we're wrong and then it goes to zero. Well, it's been 15 years. I think that zero is off the table at this point, and clearly XRP being around for over a decade, can it finally get some damn respect? It's been over a decade. How long are people going to keep making up this crap about it's going to zero? Just stop it. And I know it's not you guys. I'm tired of that stuff. It's so irrational and it's so bogus. No, if the pie gets bigger, XRP's part of the pie, XRP gets some of that. Yes, that's the answer. So that's a long way of saying, yeah, it's going to work out and we're going to get ours. That's what I believe. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.